Well, you've seen this. This camera, it's a Panasonic Lumix DMZ200. Now, definitely not the latest and the greatest in the planet. I can guarantee you that one. This camera has traveled around the world from Asia to Australia to basically 11 countries in Europe. And me and my wife, we took some of the most happiest memories in our life with that very camera. And that zoom about, give me a second. It zoom, I think, there you go. That's the one we're looking at. 5 mm to 108 mm. So it does zoom quite a bit. Also, it has a stabilization, so I could take video without shake. So essentially, that's exactly more or less what you need for travel camera. A nice zoom that doesn't shake, has a stabilization, so that means that good for low light. Zoom is particularly extraordinary when you have to not go close enough because you are maybe in the coast and you've seen, let's say, a whale on the ocean, so you can actually zoom in quite a bit without cropping too much. It's so much convenient. The file size are smaller, so you don't need too much of a hard drive space, even though I know everybody says that hard drives are cost really less these days. I agree, but the weight of each file, it takes a lot of energy from a computer. And you need to think about a lot of people around the world when you talk about this kind of stuff. Like I've seen many things in internet that, that doesn't cost too much. This doesn't cost too much. You shouldn't be complaining about it. No, we are going to complain about it because for a lot of people, a very good percentage of people still wish to be a good photographer without having a lot of money. So I'm sorry, but people are going to complain because whatever is not expensive for you, it's expensive for many people. And that camera right there, it costs less than 150 euro or similar in dollar in today's second-hand market. Does a fantastic job. And today in this video, I'm going to do a tutorial which going to prove that a good black and white or color image today doesn't necessarily need the latest and the greatest cameras. You have now fantastic software like Silkypix Developer Studio Pro, Affinity Photo, which is a very affordable Photoshop alternative. You have Luminar Neo that does a fantastic job in post-processing. So if you combine all of them together with your skill and your vision, you can do anything you like in today's world. A great camera can give you a lot of advantage. I totally agree. But that's not the absolute necessity in terms of creating image and UR. So let's jump right in to the video, and I'm going to show you that how I created that image behind in the laptop with this very cheap camera combined with demosaicing in Silkypix Developer Studio Pro, and then a little bit of touch in Affinity Photo, and then finishing up in Luminar Neo, so that you can get the idea that, don't complain about not having the latest and the greatest camera in your pocket. And with the right software, you can create your image. Now, without any further ado, let's jump right in. Every time when you look at the image, you have to decide what is the objective here. Now, we are at Silkypix Developer Studio Pro 11, the latest version of it. Now, I have this image where the dominant color is blue, first of all, like light blue, and you don't have much of an element. You have a sky, quite simply, a big splash of water falling on this gentleman right there, the fisherman, and the wave. Now, you have this dark in the middle, which is the lava. So he is standing on the dried lava. Now, my point is that you don't have much to work with. It's quite simple yet dramatic. And in my opinion, the best way to deal with this image is a very contrasty, dramatic black and white. Simply speaking. Now, our objective here to use Silkypix, then open Affinity Photo, where I'm going to do some cropping and check if there is any dust. And then final step will be in Luminar Neo. Now, I could do all of them in Silkypix Developer Studio Pro. Two reasons why I'm not doing it. One, just to show you the workflow from Silkypix to Affinity Photo to Luminar Neo, so that you can get the idea to do round trip fluently. The second reason why, which is I don't do bulk editing. I do 1 or 2 photos at a time. Now, Silkypix is the best image editor in my opinion. Also, extraordinary demosaicing, which means that instead of doing demosaicing, raw demosaicing in Affinity Photo Developer Persona or Luminar Neo, I use something that extremely powerful. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with the white balance, and in the white balance, generally I stick with their auto obsolete, because it does give a quite extraordinary the color, the white balance color, the true to the real. And second, you can see that the histogram here, that it has a black point and white point is quite neutral, which is a good news for us. Now, the second thing you can do, which is the double click and see if there is any kind of haloation going on, meaning that is there any kind of diffringe, any kind of chromatic aberration, etc. Looks so far so good for us. What else I can do, which is go to the curve and maybe just add a little bit more dark point and a little bit more white point. When it's done, we should be good. So personally, I would go on the top button, open with another application, then I would open photo. Now it's going to convert into 16-bit TIFF and automatically will open in Affinity Photo without any problem. And now there you go, it's about to open. In this moment, I'm going to close my Silkypix Developer Studio Pro and leave just Affinity Photo, just to make sure that my computer is not really overwhelmed by too many applications. So I'm going to duplicate that. Now I'll crop it. Quite bit of a square like that. There you go. Not too much though. And then apply. Followed by what I'm going to do in this case now, I'm going to add a layer, not layer, my apologies, adjustment layer, I meant to say. Now in HSL, I'm going to select the sky. So I'm going to go to the blue, aqua blue, click picker, and then click on the sky I just did. And I'm going to raise the saturation of that part and make the sky be darker. Not too much though. And change the hue a little bit. Then I'm going to go click green, click picker, click on the water. And I'm going to do the same. You see that it changed a little bit. And then go to a bit more on the left hand side. And make it a little bit darker too. So what's happening here, which is essentially I'm reducing the luminosity of the sky and the water so that it gets a slightly darker and gives a little bit strong contrast on the water and the sky, so that the middle person stands up. And I also would like to see that beautiful splash over that gentleman, which is just extraordinary in my opinion. I'm going to right click it. Before I right click it, I'm going to go to the adjustment and go to the vibrance. And instead of saturation, I'm going to raise the vibrance. And then I'm going to go to the mode, blend mode, and change to color. Right. Why I did that? Because every time I'm gonna you change the color, it actually affects the luminosity. In this case, I'm actually raising the color without affecting the luminosity of this image. So I'm going to raise, not quite aggressively, but I will punch it a little bit, shall I say. Once it's done, right? Once it's done, I'm going to right click now and click merge visible. So it's going to create a pixel layer of the whole edit together. Now we can go to the filter and then plugin, open my Luminar Neo plugin. There you go. Now, this might take some time. Only reason why it might take some time is quite normal because Affinity Photo is a quite strong software. And Luminar Neo, needless to say, is also a AI-based graphics card used software. Now, of course, it might take quite a bit of time by this computer, right? Now, here's the thing. I'm going to try the monochrome filter first and see exactly what they give. So first, we're going to start with elegant matte, even though they're made for portrait, but I would like to see the effect on this. Then the soulful. Now, not the film grain, but let's see the lighthouse. Not really. And the low key. Now, low key looks quite a bit awesome. However, maybe I'm going to go directly to edit. Maybe we can spend some time over there. There, I'm going to go to accent and then make it as punchy as possible. I don't know what the accent does, but it just gives you the right amount of luminosity where you want it to be, while keeping the dark part untouched. I don't know how it does, but I gotta say, it's amazing. Even the sky enhancer, when I'm pulling the sky enhancer up, now you can see exactly I really wanted to see, and I cannot. I'm sorry, but I'm happy. I'm gonna get some water. Excuse me, because I've been talking quite a bit. Right. Now we are talking about the right amount of contrast. You see the big splash going over the fisherman. That is exactly what we were looking for. Now I zoomed in because before I do anything else, I'm going to go to the structure or details. I have to pick between one or two because both do more or less the same thing in my knowledge, in my experiments. So I'm going to raise the slider medium, a small and a large detail just a little bit, and see what happens. All right, now we are talking. Now we are here to do black and white, right? What I can do is to first convert to black and white. Now that should be in any moment. The best part of this, now I can play with the sliders of the luminance and the saturation. So I'm going to go up and then blue. So what happened? Everything is now to 0. So if you slide individual things up, it's just going to bring back that color channel back to life, We don't need that because we are here for the black and white. So we're not going to touch the saturation part. You're going to stay in the luminosity. There, this is what we are looking for. But you see, if you go too low, the sky is getting quite haloey, right? Right. So we're not gonna, go crazy on that. Just right amount, like the cyan as well. Just a little bit, not too much. Magenta, again, not too much. Doesn't have much green, but I like to see the red add a yellow. Not much either. So we are good. What we can do though is the best part. I think that our black and white part is quite good in this part. Now we need to play with the contrast. Now in the develop, you're going to see what kind of contrast option do we have. We have the smart contrast here. Let's see what the smart contrast gives us. So if you go downward, it becomes flat. If you go up, it becomes punchy and powerful. Then I'm going to go down the highlight. I don't want too much. Shadow, maybe I'll bring back the shadow quite a bit. Now, in the crop on the top, I'm not going to crop here. I'm going to crop in Affinity Photo. Now the relight, let's see what relight gives us. The near, I think we are good enough in the near part. But the far, can I make it a little bit more dark? We can. Yes, we can. Now we have many other options here, which is dramatic. I could pull it up quite a bit and raise the local contrast extreme and continue to play over and over and over again. But I'm gonna stop right there. The only thing I'm thinking to add, quite simply, the film grain. The reason behind, in order to, if you zoom in, they have a lot of glow here, right? So I want to add some grain to give the rustic mood. Now I have a secret tool. So first of all, I'm going to play with the highlight control, see what it gives us, and the shadow contrast. Maybe no, shadow balance, let's see what it gives us. Not much. So yeah, I think we are done here, but I'm going to click apply. It's going to take some time. So we have two things left. One, which is cropping this image. So I'm going to go to crop again. And like that. Let's see. There you go. Now should be somewhere around. I want to have less sky and more of the water. Makes it more dramatic. There you go. Apply. As a matter of fact, I changed the idea of film grain. I'm going to keep it as it is because it gives a nice rustic look of film, which is very good. Last thing I want to do, I want to add curb. Where is my curb? There you go. That's the one. Now I will go to blue, reduce blue a little bit. That's giving us a nice sepia. And finally, that's our result. Hang on a second. Ladies and gentlemen, let me provide you with one of the coolest black and white image I've ever made in my life, sincerely, because technically speaking, this image is not that clean. When I say not clean, you have the hollow on the sky. You have a lot of kind of weird thing going on. But we are talking about a story and a feeling. There is a fisherman in the middle of the wild ocean fishing without fear. And this black and white showing exactly what it's supposed to show. The yellow tone gives like a rustic Mad Max feel. Also, it proves that yes, if I had better camera, because this image was taken with 1-inch Panasonic DMZ200 bridge, absolutely, which is kind of crazily bad camera, not a technically perfect camera. So the raw image even, which is the 14 megapixel raw image, has no dynamic range whatsoever, not much of color information. So that's not the best camera in the market, that's for sure. I mean, nobody will take this camera for free. However, it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm glad that I had this camera because I could zoom in from the shore to take this image. I couldn't take this image with expensive latest and greatest camera with no zoom lens. Like, this is the work of a zoom lens, because I could zoom in. I couldn't crop it. I can guarantee you that one. The reason why, if I had a high megapixel zoom wide angle lens, and if I cropped it, it would never look like that. Only because if you look at the foreground here, the compression of the foreground and the middle and the sky, they all together. Wide angle will distort the hell out of it and it'll never look like that. No way. So my point is that it is not the cleanest photo in the planet, but it is one of the most beautiful images I've ever made in my life.